Good morning, my name is Carrie Noonan. I'm currently an 8th grade teacher at Drexler Middle School, and the title of my research is Below Proficiency to Proficiency, Read180 in the Middle School. Looking at the problems within the middle school, I wanted to compare the math gains compared to literacy gains. Educators cannot see why literacy has not gained as much as the math has within the previous years. The curriculums available. So there's numerous curriculums available within our own building and then obviously within our district. And then also looking at the NAEP assessment, so the National Assessment of Educational Progress. It has shown that 4th grade students are fewer than half of our 4th grade students scored at or above the proficiency level in reading. And then also they're seeing the similar gains and struggles in the 8th grade level as well. Why Read180? Why did I choose this topic? I chose this topic because as my first year at Drexler Middle School, they decided to completely get rid of one of the literature language arts class and replace it with a Read180 class. I have currently been teaching the Read180 program for 2 years, and I wanted to truly see the gains and the impacts that the Read180 curriculum has on our students who are missing out on the other curriculum. And also I wanted to compare and look at the reading comprehension in middle school. I'm going to be comparing the Read180 and a Lucy Calkins writing curriculum. The Read180, according to research, has noticed a positive approach in the middle school and has also shown an increase on the SAT scores. The Lucy Calkins writing workshop approach, it has a number of core principles available, such as student choice of topic and genre, active revision, author's craft based on instruction, which is through your mini lessons, and publication beyond classroom walls. With the Lucy Calkins, they're not just focusing on the writing, but they're also looking at reading different articles in order to write a response from. So don't just think it's just a writing curriculum. The purpose of the study was to determine the impact of Read180 as a regular literature language arts class while increasing reading comprehension scores. The tools I'll be using will be the Read180 curriculum versus the Lucy Calkins writing curriculum with literacy circles. The measurement device that I'll be using will be the STAR assessment based on the Renaissance Place. My hypothesis: students enrolled in Read180 will be at or above proficiency level and will move out of the intense Read180 program and into the regular literature and language arts class. My variables. The independent variable will be the Read180 participants compared to the Lucy Calkins writing curriculum / their literature circle participants. My dependent variable will be the participants' scaled scores that we will receive from the STAR assessment. The possible impact. Participants in the Read180 class will miss out on the Lucy Calkins writing curriculum. However, students in the Lucy Calkins curriculum, they will miss out on the high, intense skill practice in the Read180 curriculum. My participants will include 8th grade students in a Read180 classroom and a regular literature language arts classroom. The Read180 classroom will consist of 10 females and 16 males. 11 of them will have IEPs, so the Individualized Education Program. It will be a co-taught class with a teacher that is a special education teacher, and then we will follow and use the Read180 curriculum. In the Literature and Language Arts class, there'll be 12 females and 13 males, 4 participants with IEPs, and they will follow and use the Lucy Calkins curriculum and then implement literacy circles after their Lucy Calkins writing curriculum has ended after the 6-week period. The materials needed. For Read180, the curriculum that we'll need will be the students' textbooks, independent reading novels, and small group articles. The Lucy Calkins materials simply is the writer's notebook, teacher's textbook, and then novels. And then obviously we'll need STAR, which is provided to us by the Renaissance Place. The procedure. So for Read180, the warm-up will take place the very first 5 minutes of class. The warm-up will consist of a quick question that they need to answer based on the topic that we discussed yesterday. It will be a vocab review, just something to kind of get them started and get going for the day. Then we'll break into 20-minute stations. One station will be a small group, which will be with a teacher, so that'll be teacher-led, focusing on an article within our textbook, looking at some skills that just need to be retaught. Small group, we kind of have some leeway of what we can do within that group. Next, they'll go into independent reading, which they pick a book based on their Lexile level. And last but not least, the individualized technology, the technology is completely based on their SRI test that they take at the beginning of the year. So the Scholastic Reading Inventory Test. A lot will compare this to a STAR assessment. It is just another piece of data that we are able to collect using the Read180 program. And last but not least, we'll have a 5-minute wrap-up. Again, this is just bringing the students together in order to kind of wrap up the day, kind of pull all the ends together, and then be able to have them move on to their next class. For the Literature Language Arts class, again, they'll have a daily warm-up. This can consist of a DOL, so correcting some sentences, to writing a paragraph. Then they'll go into a whole group or small group mini lessons, depending on what the Lucy Calkins curriculum is calling for. If they're mini lessons, then they will focus on that writing skill that they need the practice on. After the mini lessons, they'll go right into their writing practice. Then again, this is all at the independent level. And again, teacher has the discretion to pull students back in order to further the discussion on the skill. After the 6 weeks of the Lucy Calkins curriculum, the students will have completed a personal narrative paper. And then after that, students will be given and put into literature circles based on the novels that the teacher has picked. My data analysis. So all participants will take the STAR assessment in September and November. A paired sample t-test and a one sample t-test was run on a sample of 51 8th grade participants to determine which curriculum would be best for the struggling learners. My results. So the data in this study did not support the hypothesis, as the Read180 curriculum did not increase the reading comprehension for the struggling readers as high as the participants who received the Lucy Calkins instruction. One thing I do want to point out, both Read180 and Lucy Calkins did increase their scaled score. I was just hoping for a greater gain with the Read180 program compared to the Lucy Calkins curriculum. Participants using the Read180 curriculum did have an increase in their STAR. So if you look, so they started out with a scaled score of 579.5, and then they went to a 615.5 in November. And again, Lucy Calkins, they started out at 600.5, and then they went to a 651.9 in November. I'm going to share two separate results for you. The first one is going to be the bar graph of showing the students at the beginning, so in September. The blue graph is showing the Read180 participants. You will notice that we had no one at or above the benchmark level as for Read180 and for Lucy Calkins. Lucy Calkins, the students did not seem as low compared to our Read180 program, but then again, we're looking at 26 of the lowest students within the 8th grade program are already put into the Read180 program. So, all right, and then here's our graph for the reading proficiency in November. One of the biggest things that my co-teacher and we looked at was the student that was at or above benchmarks. We had one student in Read180 who was meeting the criteria in order to be exited out of Read180. So at the end of first trimester, which is in November for us, we actually exited one student out of Read180, which was really a big gain for us. However, if we look at the opposite end, we're looking at the urgent intervention. So those are our students who are scoring anywhere between 300 to 450 for their scaled score. That number did increase, but then we also have to look at the baseline proficiency that is obviously increasing when it comes to November because we're moving into our winter scores. All right, implications. Someone might be asking, well, how do we select our students to be in Read180? There's a total of 6 teachers that teach Read180 within our building, and we have come up with a exit and entrance criteria sheet in order to select these students to be within our class. Looking at our next year's class, I only will have 15 students within my Read180 class compared to the 26 I started with this year. Why is that? So next year we're looking at just having one Read180 class in the 8th grade, but then we're also looking at having one co-taught literature language arts class. So the 7th grade teachers are currently thinking some of those kids could handle a regular literature language arts class, so they're going to be put into a co-taught class. Now with my 15, they're coming from, 8 of them will be coming from an alternative class. So 8 will be from an alternative lit lang class, and then 7 of them will still be in from Read 180. They're still going to go from 7th grade to 8th grade. Another thing that we have to look at, well, what about if our data does not meet the criteria? Wonder if they just totally messed off on one test. Again, we have 3 different data points that we kind of look at. Read 180 versus no Read 180. So this curriculum, do we keep it? Do we get rid of it? Do we look at it as an intervention class or an MTSS class, or do we simply keep it as a regular lit lang class that is counting towards their lit lang class for their 8th grade curriculum? And next that we have here is no one really received any other type of curriculum besides the Read 180 and the Lucy Calkins curriculum. So I did not use a controlled group, again, so implications for possibilities that we can look at in the future. Limitations. So my first 3 bullet points go hand in hand. So 2 different curricula, 2 different sets of participants, 2 different teachers. 2 teachers taught the different curricula. So I taught the Read 180, another 8th grade teacher taught the Lucy Calkins curriculum. Again, teachers teach completely different, students learn completely different based on your teachers. This was a huge limitation within my research. And then again, my length of study. I started looking at my participants in September and then moved on to November. So if I would have looked at September till the end of the year, I think I would have had major differences between my students. Further research. One thing that I want to look at is looking at the multi-tiered system of supports class, so an MTSS class or an intervention class. Would it be okay if the student only got the curriculum 40 minutes every other day? That's something that we kind of want to look into. They did use this the very first year that they started to implement this, so only 6th and 7th grade had the MTSS, so 40 minutes every other day. Again, would the students see the same exact results from just having it 40 minutes every other day, or is it beneficial to have Read 180 available every day for 82 minutes? And again, class size. This is something that I'll be able to reflect on after this year, based on I had 26 at the beginning of the year, and next year I will have 15 at the beginning of the year. Does class size truly make a difference within the Read 180 program? Here would be my references that I referred to in my presentation. Again, if you have any questions or comments, please let me know and I will be able to further explain. Have a good day.